needs promoting.
All right, everyone. It is Monday, August 18th, 2025. This is the scheduled meeting of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Sepulveda Transit Corridor DEIR for the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council. Welcome. The first order of business is the call to order. So I am hereby calling this meeting to order. Second order of business is the flag salute. Who has a flag that we can use? Anyone? Okay, then let's not worry about that. Let's just pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the
of
United
the
States of
United States of
America
America
and to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, that was harmonic.
When I was in elementary school, immediately after we did the flag salute, it would be "My country, 'tis of thee," and then we would sing that whole little thing. It was just like it will always be in my head forever.
So it'd be first grade. And then I heard the British national anthem, and I was like, oh my God.
We stole it. So we've done our flag salute. The next thing is the roll call. Irene Sandler is here. Dr. Pearson is here. Mr. Lawrence, I see he's here. Miss Templeton is here. Mr. Brand is here. I'm here. Mr. Kemp is running late. So he's absent right now. Miss Weisberg is here. Miss Miner is here. And Mr. Schlesinger, I believe, is absent.
He's actually attempting to be here, but he has some difficulty technically.
Okay, well, he might show up later. And then we have Dr. Longcore, who's also here. So we've completed that item on the agenda. First order of business is the approval of the August 18th, 2025 agenda. May I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Sandler. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr.
Oh,
Pearson.
second. Oh,
Any discussion? If not, all in favor of adoption of the motion, please say aye or raise your digital hand.
aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay or raise your digital hand. All abstaining, please raise your hand. Seeing no abstentions, the motion carries unanimously. The agenda is approved. Second order of business is the approval of the August 11th, 2025 minutes, which were circulated as attachment A by our administrative assistant, Ms. Palmer. I trust you've all received those minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Miner. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dr. Pearson. Would anyone like to discuss the motion on the floor? All in favor of the motion?
Irene
Yeah.
had a hand
I
up.
just wanted to mention that I did speak to Kathy, and she said that she did her best, but there may be some things that need to be reviewed for completion. But that would be, with Jamie's notes, I think, together with the minutes will be okay.
I think they probably met their purpose, but if anyone has any corrections, you can either say so now or you can tell me at the end of the meeting. But thank you for that update. Any further discussion? All in favor of adoption of the minutes, please say aye or raise your digital hand.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your digital hand. All abstaining, please say so.
I'm abstaining. I haven't read the minutes.
One abstention by Ms. Weisberg. All right, so the motion
And
carries.
Patricia Templeton.
I was muted.
Ms. Templeton, are you abstaining as well?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read them.
Okay, so two abstentions, one from Ms. Templeton, one from Ms. Weisberg. So the motion does carry with two abstentions. The third item on the agenda is the general public comment period. The Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council welcomes comment from the public on any topic within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on the adopted agenda. General public comment is generally limited to 1 minute per speaker unless waived by the presiding officer. So now's the time to speak on any item within our jurisdiction that is not on the agenda for tonight? If you raise your hand, we'd be happy to take your comment here. I see what I believe is Dr. Pearson ending in 300.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll get
That's
take it
okay.
down. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. So I don't see anyone with their hands raised, so I'm going to go ahead and close the general public comment period. The fourth item on the agenda is discussion and development of our response, this ad hoc committee's response to the Sepulveda Transit Corridor Project DEIR. So over the course of several weeks, not several weeks, yeah, I guess several weeks, we've heard from a variety of stakeholders regarding their viewpoints on the proposed DEIR and the proposed project and the proposed alternatives. Now's the time for the committee to discuss in further detail the possible motions and actions that we might take and the content of a comment letter to the Metro Board regarding the DEIR. So we have a big task ahead of us. Dr. Longcore, would you like to start by reminding us what your suggested course of action is based, you're the one that actually initiated the ad hoc committee, and you had some strong feelings about maybe how we should address this. Would you like to start off by refreshing our recollection?
Sure. So my, well, actually, let me do a little table setting before that. We have not, nor do I believe, could we possibly review the technical content of the DEIR in the time provided or with ourselves and the expertise that's represented on the board. We've gotten some questions asked and answered. We've heard lots of things, but really, I don't think we're in a position, unless someone has things that they really have a specific technical expertise on, to be giving input that is based on critiques of the science or methods or whatnot in the document. Just to be quite honest, I don't think it would be that credible. Which leaves us basically in the position of making a political comment, and what is the thing that we could do that is unique to this board that other people can't. And I think what that is to provide input that we have heard that represents what the people that were elected or selected to represent might have as concerns and or aspirations for the proposed project. Now, given that, I am somewhat loath to try to develop a comment that says we think this one option is the right option, because by the very nature of the way these options are constructed and their differences, it inevitably would just involve one group that may have concerns about one aspect of one alternative, basically outvoting those who have concerns about another aspect of the project and may be impacted by it. And it basically just turns into a difficult situation where somebody's getting outvoted. Now, I know that's the nature of democracy, but it's also, I think, not really productive for us as a principal, as a neighborhood council, to say, do this thing and it's going to impact this community and we really don't care because the overall good. I would think we maintain our comedy, and with an ITY, and our ability to work together productively in the future if we serve to just lift up and identify what the concerns are and the positive aspects are that are brought by each of the options and by each of the communities that we might represent, in such a way that we're reporting and that those voices are heard. The local homeowners groups and or residents associations can, of course, go and lobby as hard as they want on independent things. But I was hoping our role might be a little bit more of identifying what those positions might be, that what we heard, and that is valuable information for the political decision that's ultimately going to be had over which it becomes the locally preferred alternative. So that said, I can't force this committee or the board to take that route. And if it goes another route, it goes another route. It's just that's the way I think we might end up all being the same good colleagues we are at the end as we have been at the beginning.
Great. So we should probably start there, actually. I think we need to talk about what our approach for the comment letter should be before we actually start talking about what we want to have in it. So one option would be the option that Dr. Longcourt just described. Does anyone have questions about that option or what that would entail or need clarification? Ms. Templeton.
Yeah, I do. And I also wanted to, if we can backtrack for a second, because I'm not sure you saw it. The Bechtel person did get in touch with me and they can't answer any questions because of the blackout period. They're prohibited from speaking to us. And so they can't do that, but they can, if we ask them questions, they can, and the answer is in the DEIR, they can tell us where to find it. And
When you
so,
say the blackout period, you mean like they can't speak during the public comment period?
right, yeah, they're not allowed to.
But they're willing to speak to us afterwards.
They are willing to speak to us afterwards, and obviously, if we have one, we should have, all of them. And if we ask questions of one, we should ask questions of all of them. But I'm wondering, do we have time to ask, like, to gather some questions and ask questions before we have to have this done? Or
Well, it depends on what you want to ask them. And then also, right now, the public comment period, when does it end, Travis? Dr. Longcourt?
The 30th of this month. So we have until the board meeting on the 27th, which is when I expect that if this committee develops a statement, a recommended position statement, comment, etc., that'll then be considered at the August 27th board meeting.
So we have to think about what we're going to say. Someone's got to draft it. We got to edit it. And then we have to present it to the board at the 27th meeting. And then the board's going to have suggested revisions. So there's a lot of work that has to happen in a very short period of time.
so we probably don't have time to necessarily ask questions, but maybe we can develop questions and get the answers afterwards. Or
right. I mean, I think that if the group, and I think Dr. Longcourt said this, is that if the committee wants to continue and the group thinks that there might be a continuing role for us to play, we could do that.
And then with respect to Travis's suggestion, so I just wanted to clarify. So this is just an example. Without saying we want, I mean, let's say we all thought a stop at UCLA, would be a good thing if the numbers penciled out or whatever, or just we think it would be a good thing. Would it be okay to say that and not say we don't want one because it doesn't have a stop at UCLA? Or should we not even mention, for example, a stop at UCLA?
I mean, I suppose the way that one could approach this is, what do you think your constituents, the groups that you represent here on this committee, as well as the folks that we've heard from, how would you characterize the feeling of the neighborhood? Because this is what we can represent, is like, what's the feeling of the neighborhood? And so one could say, if it's true, and I'm very curious to hear, what do people from Benedict Canyon think about that, or Laurel Canyon, or whatnot? It's like we could characterize there's, strong or moderate or mixed support for this for these various reasons. So people in theory think it's a good reason. Some people don't think it's a good reason because it would involve X, Y, or Z. So kind of more explaining where we think the positions are, and the sort of lack of, to use the current word, the vibe of the neighborhood, because that's ultimately, I think, what we're representing here.
Although it's hard to know, because I know I hear things about both both of them and opinions, on monorail versus train that are not necessarily grounded in fact. There's a whole lot of rumor running around. And so I don't know how to deal with that because, somebody might say, I don't want the monorail because if there's an earthquake, it's going to fall off, and onto the freeway, and then there'll be lots of traffic. Whereas, we had an expert opinion that said, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But I obviously haven't spoken to the people who said that, so I don't know kind of how to handle the fact that there are members of the community that might feel a certain way, but it's not necessarily based on something factual.
Look, so interesting. I think it's important to communicate where people are, and the stories that they have about this. If we can all agree that there's perhaps factual basis, we can report that we also learned that. But little story, I did my master's thesis on the use of science in the debate over the creation of a low-level nuclear waste dump in the California desert at Ward Valley, and the sort of the ways in which science, in fact, got conscripted into those debates or not. And what I really concluded was it's the stories that people tell that really are the compelling things, as much or more than the facts. And so in the interest of providing guidance to the Metro Board, which includes representatives of the city, I think accurately reporting what we've heard about concerns, and then accurately reporting also what we've heard maybe about those concerns, as long as everybody here agrees on those things and can report and put it to the board and that the board agrees, then that's all good information for them.
May I submit something?
Sure. And then we have two other hands up, and I know you can't see it when other
Okay.
people have their hands up.
I apologize, but
No, that's okay. That's
it may
okay.
be beneficial.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
that
Dr. Pearson.
In pursuit of our purpose, which is the draft environmental review, not the design, I did come across a document, and this one is the final analysis by the Janney and Eisner Associates engineering firm of what happened with the red line. It's the final report from October 17th, 1995. It's about 4 pages. It's incredibly detailed analysis of how first they misaligned their tunnels. So in order to try to mitigate that, they put themselves in a situation where they encountered unstable, saturated soil, which caused their port to start to collapse, which collapsed the street above. And we have mountains above this proposal. So pretty impressive, because in that process, as Jamie had recalled, yes, that's when the 10-inch water main came into play because of the tension, the traction placed on it. It ruptured, and all of the excavated materials and the water went flooding, rushing down these concrete supports, the cylinders. That these were 2 subway excavation tunnels.
So, Dr.
And
Pearson, I
filled
just want to
both of
remind
the-
you that we're trying to just focus on
I
what should
know,
be our
but
scope, and
I'm
you're talking
trying-
about a particular issue.
Yes, but it's relevant. It's factual, it's documented, and it's expert.
Are
And
you
I
trying
just
to
need
say,
people-
Dr. Pearson, that we should really get into the details?
I'm saying that we should have access. I've been trying to send this document, and I have not been able to. I'm just giving you the synopsis. Let me
Okay.
finish. The Hollywood those tunnels were filled up, and then it went on to the Vermont tunnels. So there can be extreme consequences. I hope that maybe a person that we can hear before is if Jared is still working with the Metro, he may have a lot of pertinent information. That's
Dr.
all.
Pearson,
Those
the
three
issue on
things.
the floor, the issue right now that we're discussing is what should be the scope of our letter. Do you have an opinion on that?
I believe we should only address the purpose of the EIR. I mean, the ERI,
So,
environmental
okay,
review.
that's your opinion. Okay, great. So we have two other hands up. Let's start with Ms. Weisberg.
Thank you, Jamie. I just want to remind everyone, and this is apropos of something you said before, Travis, not every area that we represent is actually affected by this. And so there is disequity, essentially, I think, which is not to say that people don't have perspectives or opinions, but I just want to remind everyone that not every neighborhood that we represent is actually going to be affected by this. Thank you.
And Mr. Lawrence.
I wanted to talk about something that Ms. Templeton was talking about. I actually had a question. Did you get any indication about how quickly Bechdel might be able to turn around questions about where to find certain technical information in the EIR?
I get the impression they know it, you know, the people that know the DEIR know it pretty well, and they could get it turned around really quickly. The
Okay.
thing that will take time would be I'd have to get in touch with the BYD folks too, and because we need to give them both kind of an equal shot at answering questions. And I kind of didn't move forward with it, with getting it, figuring out who the BYD people are, because I didn't know, if we were going to do it. And I think it'll take time to find that person and have them get back to me and then have us get back to them. So that's my concern about that.
It sounds like to me that those are two slightly different issues. One being having a resource at Bechdel who's willing to point us in the right direction of how to navigate this many thousands page document, and the other is interacting with them and getting their opinion about questions or answers to questions, which they wouldn't be able to do until after the public comment period.
Right, but I guess if we had questions about the rail, it seems to me it would be only fair to ask BYD, or possibly we ask Metro and see if Metro will tell us where in the DEIR it is.
I doubt we're going to have to do that. Personally, I doubt that we're going to have the bandwidth to get into this level of review at this point. I see two other hands. I see Mr. Brand has had his hand up, and then Ms. Sandler is raising her hand. But let's just, before Mr. Lawrence.
Could I just finish really quickly? I expect in today, our meeting, we'll be going through our notes, and there will be outstanding questions that we just didn't get answers to. And all I'm saying is it couldn't hurt to shoot them an email and say, hey, we were wondering about X, Y, and Z issues. Could you give us a 100-page range to look in, Okay.
Yeah, I think they would point us exactly where it is, pretty much in the DEIR, but yeah.
Mr. Brand.
I just wanted to kind of second what Leslie had to say. I think it's important to acknowledge that certain some areas of our community are impacted more by this than others, and some aren't at all. But everyone's opinion is valued, and we appreciate that.
Ms. Sandler.
I just wanted to mention that our first speaker, Bob Anderson, had done a very complete, we hope, analysis of the 23,000 pages of the draft EIR and the files that went with it, and did in fact put the key to those on the Sherman Oaks Homeowner Association website. So we do have, it'll take digging, but we do have that as a template for finding information.
I don't know if everyone fully appreciates what Travis's proposal is, because I'm not hearing like a response to it. And I just want to try to put it in different words here so make sure one understands what Dr. Longcourt is proposing. Rather than going and doing the deep dive of the EIR and all this other stuff, he's suggesting that we would, in our comment letter, discuss what we've heard from our stakeholders. Like we heard from the Getty, and this is their perspective. And if we can get behind like maybe something that generally that they said without saying that we agree to that potential alternative, then we could do it. Or we heard from UCLA and this is their perspective. And we heard from the Bel Air Association. This is their perspective. And we've heard from, stakeholders in the Valley and this is their perspectives. Without not saying that sorry, my dog has decided to play ball right now. But not necessarily like saying that we don't support alternative 6 because it's an antiquated technology and it's going to cost more money and it doesn't have a private partnership. I mean, not going into that level of detail. And certainly probably not taking a position of we support the no project alternative. It would literally just be sort of like a document that outlines the efforts that we've undertaken to understand how our constituents are impacted and laying it all out. Is that what we want to do? Or do we want to take a position? And so Dr. Longcourt, I'm trying to
and I'm sorry to cut in line on the questions,
but I was trying to summarize what you said, so you better tell me if I got it wrong.
No. It's really is what I'm trying to suggest, and that we could make some recommendations. Like, if you're going to do these things, you need to engage with this community that's most affected, right? So for example, I just started sketching out what I think are what we've heard, and in sort of quasi geographical order. So we heard from Bel Air Association that tunneling options that go under Bel Air are going to be vehemently opposed. And I think that's what we've heard. We have members on this committee that can speak to it. We can report that. I don't think it's our place at this point. None of us are. We've heard some expert comment, and we know enough to know that they did say you can request some mitigations if you're worried about liquefaction. But I think that just acknowledging that this is what we heard about that from Bel Air Mastercrest Association and Casiano. I'm putting words in your mouth, but I think there's probably going to be concern there about the noise of the noise and construction along the 405 from both construction and operations of a monorail that adds to the already heavily burdened community from noise. From Upper Bel Air, we've heard both that's fine, as well as people in public comment saying we don't necessarily want it. And I've raised the concern that some people would be looking at a new structure in Stone Canyon that would create an aesthetic impact to the people who are normally looking at habitat in Stone Canyon. We go to Beverly Glen. Option 6 goes right 250 feet under the middle of Beverly Glen Boulevard for a portion of it. I haven't heard a single thing from anybody in Beverly Glen about it. I mentioned it to my neighbors who would be right over the tunnel. They had no idea, wanted to learn more. So I would say that my belief is that the public awareness of Beverly in ROBG is about 0. And 250 feet, as long as it's not going to de-water, who knows? Probably okay. I haven't heard anything. But potentially traffic could get worse at certain times or better at certain times, or maybe it gets better afterwards. I don't know. Then we've got Benedict. We've had people from Benedict Canyon arguing strongly against this. I don't know if that represents a general awareness of and a position out of Benedict. The impacts to Benedict would be, I think, probably mostly in the traffic category, either potentially positive if it takes a lot of stuff off the road, or if there's issues during construction and something's pushed over that direction because there's something going on, access, etc., other places, maybe it's negative. And then we get to Coldwater and Laurel, and and there I think a lot of
no
folks,
impacts at all.
Yeah, a lot of folks there are like, yeah, you guys.
There's a project going on?
Yeah, sounds like it's a good idea, but how are you going to pay for it? And then, and maybe across the board, there are, questions that seem to be common among geographic areas, which is, when is this going to happen? How is this going to happen? How is it going to get paid for? Why are we doing it when there is ultimately so little penetration of knowledge that this project is even under consideration? When Jamie goes walking his dog or running with his dog, whichever it might be, how many of the people he runs into know that this is even a project? Same thing all the way over to Bel Air. So and again, it's just an argument I'm making. I think it is a value for us as a neighborhood council to say, these are the things we're hearing in our different neighborhoods. And this is our best characterization. And then the recommendations become, address these concerns as you go forward without us, or maybe we all can agree on one thing, which might be, it seems awfully mean to Sherman Oaks to have a segment above, an L train in one area, and then everything else is underground or elevated on the freeway. That one option 4, that's the only place where I'm like, yeah, maybe we can all agree that that's probably a mean thing to do. And it's something that's absolutely universally opposed by our neighbors to the north. Anyway,
We got
take
lots
it
of
or
hands,
leave it.
and hopefully we can really come to terms quickly on what the scope of our letter should be, and then we can start to. Although I hope Travis took notes, because that was a really good outline. If y'all want to go that direction, but let's go in order. Dr. Brand, Mr. Brand.
I have to. I understand where Travis is coming from, and I agree. I mean, if you go out there and you state all the facts and all of the opinions from everybody, I think you come up with a letter that would be accurate. I don't think if we do it the other way, where we make a decision on a specific one, I don't think we're ever going to get to agree on anything.
All right, Ms. Sandler.
It's a concern of mine that we don't know what the intent of Metro Board is. Are they going to pick a particular number, whatever it is, 1 through 6, and that's all they want to hear about? Or because they haven't really done the work to say what the project will be, they say they're not going to do another draft DEIR. Where are we? We are commenting on a draft that leads to a decision that may not be a decision that's acceptable.
But
I don't.
I'm sorry, but acceptable to who? Just to be clear.
Acceptable to our neighbors.
But
Because
Ms. Sandler,
a lot of this affects the people who are in the Sepulveda corridor. That's the name of the project. And yet, we are commenting, we are going to get answers back on our comments, and then a decision will be made, and the decision will not be made, let's take half of this number 1, let's take a quarter of number 5, let's do this, let's do that. It is supposedly going to be a particular choice. Am I wrong?
we're here right now. What we're discussing is the scope of our letter. Do you have a position on the scope of our letter? Should it be what Travis proposed, or should it be a response to technical details in the EIR, or should we take an official position? If you don't have a position, that's fine.
I don't think any of them are wrong. I
Okay.
really don't.
You don't have a strong opinion on that.
I have the problem with is, what is this board going to do with our comments, with our concerns?
That's up to
They
them.
don't-
That's truly up to them, though, and they're
Well,
either
then-
going. I mean, they're. That's
Then-
really
then they
that's
don't
part of the
care
political
about-
process. That's part of the political process. Ms. Templeton?
Yeah, a couple of things. I agree we shouldn't pick an alternative. Because I think, we will be arguing about which alternative until the end of until the end of the thing. And we might pick one just because there's more votes for that on this committee than, but that's not necessarily how our constituents feel. I do think it's a good idea to raise the concerns that we have heard from our neighborhoods, and it might not even necessarily be about this, because for example, I know traffic is the number one thing, traffic and security, and and security comes and goes depending on whether there's anything has happened recently, but traffic is 24/7 that people complain about. And so like I would like to raise that issue, and I think that's true for Beverly Glen, and and a couple of other streets too, and probably on Sepulveda as well. And so it's not just the existing traffic, but also what's going to happen to traffic during construction. But I'm cautious about is saying what the concerns are from our neighborhood about certain aspects of the plan, because I don't think we have done enough outreach in order to really know. And I don't think the people have read the information and they've been paying attention to really know what the alternatives are and what their impacts might be. So, I don't want to do the squeaky wheel, gets the grease situation where we've been hearing a lot from, some elements that feel very strongly about something that doesn't necessarily, that's what most people are concerned about or want. So I would certainly raise their concerns, but I would hate to see, like us say all of Bel Air is worried about, the tunneling, because there may be elements of the western part of Bel Air that will overlook the monorail. They might be worried about the noise and vibration. There may be, all we know is that a representative of the Bel Air Association and a couple of Bel Air members have raised it. Not that Bel Air as a whole, or even the Bel Air Association members as a whole, have that issue. And the same might be true of Sherman Oaks. It's going to affect it's going to affect Sepulveda Boulevard, which really doesn't have that much residential on it. And yeah, it wouldn't look that pretty, but how does the rest of, we don't know how the rest of Sherman Oaks feels if they would have less traffic and they could take a, train over to the west side, or my concern is that I just want to be cautious.
As the executive director of the Bel Air Association, I can tell you that we've had meetings with hundreds of people show up to discuss this topic, and we're very much on it. So as for the Bel Air Association, I feel that, we do speak on behalf of them.
Have you guys discussed with them the potential noise impacts of the monorail?
We've discussed the project in detail, and all the different ones in all the different options in our meeting.
Right, but so my question is, though, just as an example, I know you guys have discussed the potential impacts of tunneling on the homes. Have you discussed the potential impacts from the noise and the whooshing from the monorail?
Bob Anderson spoke to the Bel Air Association about a year ago. So we've done our best to make sure that the members of Bel Air, who are invited to every Zoom that we put together, have access to those resources. So, so to answer your question, to the best of our ability, we've done quite a bit of outreach to our members to make sure that they understand the impact of this on their homes, on their property values, on the quality of life. And as you know, you've already heard from Fred, so you know his perspective. But Bel Air is complicated, Patricia, because this is a liquefaction zone, because the trains will come 50 feet under the Bel Air Hotel, not 200 feet. It's complicated, and yet we're a neighbor of UCLA, so we understand those complicated issues as well.
It's just like, for example, I know I'm on Linda Flora. I know people on Linda Flora are concerned about potential noise from the monorail, because they told us when they widened the 405, oh, you won't hear a thing, it won't impact you. I now hear the 405 sometimes when the weather is right, and I never did before. And so people know that, and they're saying, yeah, they're telling us that the monorail isn't gonna, we're not gonna hear it, but that doesn't mean, that we believe.
This is why.
Yes, so my point is, I'm surprised that people on lower Linda Flora, which is regular Bel Air, or people close on Moraga and wherever that are closer to Sepulveda and the 405, that they're not raising those concerns.
Okay, let me just summarize here for a second. So what I think I'm hearing, and then because we need to, like, by at least 7:30, conclude what the scope of our letter is going to be. So we're at 7:13 right now. But what I'm hearing Ms. Templeton say is that she's concerned that certain groups may be have louder voices, um, and that a lot of people are asleep at the wheel, and that we are not in touch with, which is legitimate. That maybe we don't really truly understand what everyone thinks about it.
Which is why it's probably a good idea to take Travis's approach, because regardless of whether or not the Bel Air Association or those representing Bel Air who helped craft Bel Air's idea capture everybody's perspective, it's highly likely that Irene and that you are going to also capture the perspectives of people who might be impacted by a monorail.
I think we could resolve this by having a paragraph in the letter talking about our concerns about lack of knowledge in the general
That's a
community.
very good idea. That's a very
And so, because I think we could all agree to that,
good
right?
idea. Great idea. But hopefully
Okay.
all perspectives will be represented without making a choice here.
I got two other hands
Jamie.
that have been up, and then Miss Pearson, and then Mr. Kemp. So Miss Minor.
Yeah, one of the important things about all of this, I mean, it's like we've been given 5 choices and sort of shoved down our throats. Take one. The money. I mean,
Yeah.
the city is broke. I don't know about Metro or where it's coming from. I can see that, the people in certain neighborhoods, when all of a sudden their neighborhoods are going to go to hell, excuse the expression, with caissons and this and that and the other thing, and eminent domain, and suddenly buildings are gone and the neighborhood's upside down. People need to know this in advance, and it's but multi-billion-dollar enterprise, and it's going to be in phases, we were told. So ruin the neighborhoods and then stand still waiting for the money to come in. I mean, and then maybe it comes in, maybe it doesn't, and then maybe how long it'll be postponed. Meanwhile, the neighborhoods are ruined, are demolished, are desiccated.
I think everyone's concerned about the lack of funding. I mean, for sure. So,
Okay,
but Miss Minor, let me ask you though. So right now, we're discussing what the scope of our letter should be. Do you have an opinion about that? Do you support Travis's approach?
well, it's a good approach, but I think we also need to be realistic and put in the money issue.
Oh, we will. No, we'll
Yeah.
have that as a generalized comment.
And we also need to put in, I think that people have sort of a fantasy notion of all of a sudden this monorail is going to appear without understanding what it's going to do to the neighborhoods.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we got your comment. Thank you so much. Mr. Lawrence.
Yes, excuse one second. I had to write my comments down. I agree, by the way. I am fully supporting what Travis's approach is. I think just to add on to it, we should be very mindful about what exactly addressing our concerns means, and being very specific with that kind of language. Like, what form does that take? How will we know if our concerns have been addressed?
Unfortunately, once we write this letter, though, I can sort of answer that question because I do this as part of my day job.
Mhm.
This is a political body. They're a board, the Metro board, and if they don't quote address our concerns to our satisfaction, you could potentially have some of the board members removed. You could uh, sue. I mean, but like ultimately, in the democratic system, people make decisions that we might disagree with, and so
I wasn't meaning like how would we know? Let me rephrase that. All I'm saying is that the way that we're phrasing what our concerns are, I think should be in an actionable way, as opposed, for example, as opposed to we don't want anything to happen, period. Like Travis is saying, if this is going to happen, we would like some kind of, well, that's what I'm saying is
the concluding
very
paragraph is
dependent.
going to be something that we're going to have to definitely dwell on, like in terms of what is specific and actionable. So,
I agree.
but you support this scope. Okay, so let's go to Miss Pearson.
Okay, I hope I understand Travis's intent. We need to demonstrate pros and cons, as much factual information, which is what I was trying to direct you to, of what we have understood, what we have learned, each of these potential projects brings to our community. Correct? So we see a list, and inclusive would be the questions everybody has mentioned that we don't have answers to: the financing, the traffic, because these are the environmental issues, as well as, hey, that article, what I didn't mention was nobody paid attention to the fact that under the deep excavation that they were lying on, that it didn't run the same way. So everything went to hell in a handbag, which is what I would be concerned about, since if we can have this much trouble with projects tunneling under street surfaces, imagine what it would be like when you have all the area that you cannot address under huge mountains, versus what are the problems with a monorail. One of the ones was noise and right-of-way. I still haven't been able to locate anywhere what the right-of-way for the 405 is, so that we don't have to go through a lot of time trying to obtain those. Just be able to access one that's already in existence. Those are the yins and yangs I see that need to be represented in the letter in just a very outline format.
Okay. Does anyone?
You guys can figure out how you want to structure it. Make sure that people's concerns are addressed, and if there is an answer, they can see that it's an answer, and if there's not, they're going to want to know, why don't we have an answer about this?
All right, so
that's what the community wants.
Thank you. I see two other, I'm going to put that down as a support for with Dr. Longcore's proposal with some additional asks. Ms. Sandler.
I absolutely agree with Dr. Longcore's approach. What I am concerned about is how the response to our statements or questions happens. From what I remember on the last EIR that we went through with the 405, and I was on the Citizens Committee for Advisory Committee, which I know was swept aside. They said that if we asked questions, they would answer the questions. If we made comments, they would not answer comments because there was nothing to answer. If I asked a question and someone else asked a similar question, they answered once, and then they did not answer any other similar questions that would have the same answer. So I just want you to be aware that how we approach this is not necessarily how they will approach it.
Well, let me answer the question. And Dr.
You've seen
Longcore,
plenty of EIRs and responses. What do you think about
if
that?
it's a purely like political issue, like if you've not raised something that relates perfectly to the environmental impacts of the project, they'll just say, thank you for your comment. This is not a environmental comment, period.
They will take it as an environmental comment, but they don't have to answer anything.
Right, exactly. And you're right. That's correct. And Dr. Longcourt knows that too. And he's nonetheless suggesting this approach.
Yeah. I'm just asking.
He thinks that it'll impact the metro boards, perhaps.
Yeah. So because basically, now look, and not everybody knows this, and I don't mean it to say that I know what's right, but I have literally been through this process 200 times. Comment, response, go look at it afterwards, and all level of things from national to local. And we are not what I was trying to say at the beginning is we don't have the technical firepower to submit a comment that's going to change substantively what they're saying in the DEIR. Okay, given that, the board is going to come up with a locally preferred alternative. They have an environmentally preferred alternative. They have a least damaging alternative. Least damaging is, I think, is the one you don't do the project. But that they're going to pick a locally preferred alternative. It will be one of those 5 projects. And we're trying to engage politically by making this kind of letter, because my judgment is, and Jamie, who's litigated these things, can tell you, we're not going to have the credibility and expertise to make a content level, make them change the EIR, make a decision based on our bringing up something about the inadequacy of the geotechnical investigation. That's just not going to happen. Our audience here, therefore, even though this is a CEQA process, our audience are the decision makers who are political, either politicians or political appointees, and to have them consider the voices that we say they should be listening to by lifting up the concerns of our different neighborhoods. And that, yes, this is going to be a completely political comment. It will be factual in the sense is this is what we learned and these are what people think and whatnot. But in the actual response to comments on the final EIR, I don't expect it to be much more than these are not criticisms of the environmental analysis, or see general response to liquefaction in, response to comments 7.2.2, and see general response to noise and vibration concern in section 6.8.4. Right, that's the most we can hope for out of that. This is an engagement in the process politically.
Okay, Mr. Kemp.
Yeah, I agree with Travis 100%. Except this is more generalizations. Is that I do think this is sort of a moment in time where our task is to be, to the best of our ability, the voice of the community. We have tried. We can document that we have done the outreach. We've heard these different type of things. We're not experts. And I agree with Travis. I think we're approaching it from a political standpoint when it goes to the board. And I do think, though, at some point, maybe, like Travis was saying, we could voice some of maybe our opinions, like, we don't like the thing about going through Sherman Oaks above ground, or that we do prefer having stops at both the Getty and UCLA, if that's what we come up with, that type of thing. So I think there's a few things we could do, but yeah, I think Travis's approach is exactly correct.
Okay, Mr. Schlesinger.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Many times for certain projects, Don Lowe's and I have insisted on completion bonds. Is a completion bond in order for this type of project?
I would think so.
Yeah, I don't, it's my understanding, and I think we've had a couple of people say this, that are some of our more knowledgeable people that have spoken, that it tends to be that they get, well, first of all, we don't know how much in the public-private partnership that the private part is going to be contributing. And I know, and Metro doesn't even know that yet. So we don't even know how much money the city would have to come up with. And I've seen some things where they say the city already has most of the money because the private people will put up this much and the city already has like $5 billion from Measure M or whatever. But it's my understanding they build it in phases. Even the part that they're doing, they approve it first and then get the money. And they don't start until they have like a certain amount of that committed from federal and state sources. So I don't think anybody is going to put up $20 billion bond before they get started.
That being said, I think that we could put in the letter, because I think that we heard it from various constituent groups, that there was a concern that the project would be started and not completed.
Right.
And that, and we could do a compare and contrast. This is not the type of project where you could actually just build it in phases, and maybe you didn't, like, look at the Purple Line. Extension, like phase 1 goes to La Cienega and Wilshire near my office, and then phase 2 goes to like UCLA or Wilshire, whatever, and then or no, Century City, and then phase 3 goes from Century City to the Veterans Hospital. say for example, they never got the money to build phase 3, you would still have a line that went somewhere. Where would this line go, right? You wouldn't just build it and then it would end like at Mulholland. So this is not the type of line where building it, once you start, you have to finish.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Unless you build it just to UCLA or something like that, or to Getty or something. But anyway, I think that we could have it in the letter to address Bob's issue, that there's a lot of concern in the group or within our stakeholders that the project would be started and without adequate funding and due to circumstances beyond people's control, or that it would not be completed and it would be sort of like a highway to nowhere kind of thing. I think we could all get along.
Or like the
Kind of like
train,
the high-speed rail.
Yeah, something
Yeah, the
like that.
high-speed rail.
Or like the 710 freeway, if you've ever been that one, it just sort of ends in South Pasadena. Here's what happened here. So anyways, I think it's at 7:29. I wanted to sort of end this conversation about the scope. I think I hadn't heard anyone say that they want to take a different perspective than Dr. Longcore. So if you want to take a different approach, now's the time for you to raise your hand and tell me why that's not in order. Otherwise, I think we're all going to agree that this is the approach that we're going to take. And then we should probably spend the next hour doing an outline, just an outline of what we want to have in the letter. And then what we need is some people to volunteer to put something together to actually populate the outline. We're not going to be able to write a letter in an hour within a group. So the best we can do is have an outline. So first of all, does anyone disagree with the scope? Okay, we're going with Dr. Longcore's scope. Now the second thing is the approach for proceeding, which is spending the next hour building an outline of what would be in our letter and then having some volunteers actually do the drafting. Does anyone disagree with that approach? I just don't see how else we would do this. Okay, so let's get started on the outline. Dr. Longcore, I think we should start with what you recommended. And if I open up a Google Doc and share it with you, can we share the screen and then maybe you could help populate the outline?
Jamie,
Yes,
can I get an
Dr.
answer
Pearson.
on, do we have one more meeting, correct?
We could.
No, I'm
Probably
I'm
should
asking.
actually. Hold on. So
I thought
today's
we
the
were going to
18th.
have one
Today's
more
the
before the
18th.
day.
The 25th. I don't know if we have a meeting scheduled on the.
We
Oh,
should
yes,
probably
we do.
use the 25th.
Yeah, so
Okay.
basically what we're going to do is build the outline now, and then in the interim, I'm going to get some volunteers. They're going to draft the letter just like Ellen did in the other ad hoc committee. And then we're going to have another ad hoc committee meeting. We're going to go over the draft letter. We're going to make changes to it, and then we're going to present it to the full board.
Okay.
Right. So it'll be
And the other question is, I mentioned Jarrett, who used to work, I believe he still does, with the CD5 office. He was heavily involved in Metro, and one of the comments another person made about they've already made up their mind is exactly what he said 3 years ago. So maybe he has access to some information that would be really relevant to put in this letter. Can we get in touch with him? That's been his
If you
sole
want to do it on your
assignment.
own, you can. But I think that we've pretty much at this point, we've done our outreach. We're going to build the outline for the next hour. Someone in this next week, we're going to have some volunteers who are going to work on the letter, and then we're going to have one more meeting, and we're going to revise the letter. And if you want to go and talk with him and you get some information and you bring it back to us on Monday, then we'll go from there. All right, so I am going to, let's start the outline. I'm going to share this with Dr. Longcore.
Are you going to send me an email?
It's going to be a Google Drive link.
Okay, I'll open my email.
And
Yeah, while you guys are doing that, if we did want to collect
Can you-
questions.
whoever the admin is, can you enable screen sharing?
That's me too. Hold on. Go ahead.
Okay. There we go. So
Could
obviously
you
we
make
won't have
your
any-
font a little larger?
Yes. Oop, something happened here. We're working together. Okay, yes, I'll make it larger. How about? Oh, good work, Travis.
Great.
Yeah, Jamie in the left where it says 100%, can you go to like 125 or something so people can?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to do the smaller
You know,
type.
why don't we do this? Why don't I think it's better since Travis is going to be doing a little bit more of the work right now. Why don't I let Travis share the screen? So I'm going to stop screen sharing.
Because I didn't volunteer to do a little more of the work right now.
Did you? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can do it if you
Hey,
want.
it was your idea.
Okay, so
Travis.
okay, introduction. What do we want to have in the introduction? Obviously, who we are.
How about short and sweet?
We don't need larger titles. We need some of the smaller print to be made just a bit larger so we can read it.
Okay. You know,
That's better. Thank you.
okay, who the BABCNC is, creation of ad hoc committee. We need to have a little bit about that we're unique and that we're basically a hodgepodge of longstanding neighborhood associations and elected representatives.
I think you can find a better word than hodgepodge.
Then
I know,
hodgepodge.
this is my shorthand. Mixture of neighborhood associations and longstanding.
Say an affiliation of neighborhood of longstanding,
This is
long
just-
established neighborhood
and elected
communities.
and selected representatives.
Yeah, affiliation.
Yes.
Affiliation's a better word. I agree.
Yeah, but it's not the actual writing right now. It's just
Yeah, it's just scratch. Just these, just a little
We
outline.
understand.
notes.
And then we need to say that to show that we have relevance, we need to say that, you know, I don't know if we could say something like 90% of the proposed project runs through our neighborhood council. Oh, we can't say that. We
Yeah.
could, but if we could say something like that, it would be good.
I think we could just say a significant portion of the project runs through our neighborhood, and also that we are uniquely, parts of our neighborhood are uniquely affected by the existing traffic situation in the neighborhood path. I mean, in Sepulveda path.
Say
Which is the express purpose of the whole thing, right?
a significant portion of the project impacts a number of neighborhoods within CD5.
Oh, and then we need to say something about, well, I think that's it. That's all we really, do we need anything else in the introduction?
Right. Yeah, no.
Hey,
Okay.
Yeah,
Get to the meat.
Jamie, just as we get started here, do you want to invite any of we do have a couple of attendees. If anybody wants to
Yes.
chime in as a public comment, so it's pretty clear where we're headed at this point. We could at least invite that. I do see we have a couple of attendees, and I don't want to make them think there's no opportunity to speak.
Absolutely. So we've had a kind of a robust discussion and about the scope of our letter, and now we're undertaking in the next until 8:30 an outline. Is there anyone here in the attendees that would like to speak? If so, please raise your hand and we will elevate you and let you speak. Anybody? I can't see the attendees. Okay, no. So I'm not seeing any hands, but by the way,
If it's no, that's fine. I just wanted to open it up.
I appreciate that. That's very
Yep.
helpful. So now the next thing is stakeholder opinions. Maybe we need to say at some point we need to tell them that we had a series of meetings and that we invited and what the and who we invited.
I think that should be an add-on to the creation of the ad hoc committee, just creation and definition of what we did.
Okay.
And who the speakers were.
And the outreach. I mean, you do want to mention the outreach that we did to the various groups.
Oh, that's a good point. Outreach to groups. Didn't we also send this out via like our MailChimp outreach to?
But I think we should, I mean, should we say how few people,
Mhm.
you know, actually
That's good. It could potentially undermine our group. We could say that
Yeah.
we sent out the emails, but we were concerned that it was in the middle of the summer and people are on vacation and just generally that we only have a slight little sliver of people's email addresses.
yeah, and yeah.
I mean, the thing we can say, which is, you know, and let's look at the composition of this ad hoc committee as well, is not me, but most of you represent full-on homeowners and or residents associations that you're intertwined with and you are connected to that have hundreds and total thousands of people. And so, and by the time we get this through the whole board, you know, even if we're not direct democracy talking to everybody, we do, by the virtue of how we're set up, have representatives of the entire residential and commercial and religious institutions interests all across this territory. So I wouldn't underestimate your power as spokespeople for your communities. And I'm just going to complain about the open space over and over and over again because that's my job.
Not to mention a wealth of history in the communities.
Okay, now going to stakeholder opinions, Travis, this is where we're going to go over, well, as opposed to general stakeholder positions. Well, maybe what are you under this heading? What were you thinking under stakeholder of opinions? This is where we would literally say Getty, UCLA, Bel Air Association, Van Nuys.
Yeah, I mean, so and maybe you want to sort it out differently. I just had that as a geographic one, and it should be a different title: stakeholder opinions, and then like you know, stakeholder groups or whatnot, because these are the stakeholder opinions are like, those are things that I think we heard from a lot of different people. We didn't hear the eminent domain so much, but I think that's just a lack of awareness about the amount of eminent domain that's involved in this project. There's a lot of things, especially if you spend any time going to the valley, Ventura Boulevard, Van Nuys and whatnot. There's just whole commercial zones that would be completely just torn down for this project.
I think they're underground. And the underground things, the stations are underground.
You add Benedict Canyon Association.
No. Even for the underground?
For the underground, the stations are underground. The actual station part is underground. I mean, there'll be access to the station.
Pam, right, but no, it's cut and cover construction. So they're buying out entire commercial blocks, removing all the commercial, building the station, covering it back up and redeveloping it. So it is not underground construction. And I mean, so for example, if you go over down to Van Nuys and Ventura, as you come over Beverly Glen, you go down and you look across the street on the left, there's like a Shell station there or something. It's like that whole block would be purchased, eminent domained, and turned into a construction site until they built the station there.
That's right.
Gas station gone, commercial zone gone. You know, this is not a light touch, even the underground stuff.
So, yeah, there's a section where in the thing where it says, the amount of eminent domain, and it seemed to be relatively small.
Look
But I'm
at the
trying to-
maps. You have to go to there's an appendix that has all the plans.
Mhm.
And you can go along each route and they highlight all of the eminent domain parcels.
Right. But it's not just eminent domain, forgive me, for the tunnels, etc. It's also eminent domain for the place, for the terminus where they're going to hold the equipment as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is, I think that's in a relatively industrial area, but I mean, I can pull it up later and take a look, but they listed them by commercial and residential, the like number of parcels and the number of people that would be
Yeah.
displaced. I don't think these can go under stakeholder opinion so much because none of those three are.
What do you want to
actually-
call it then? I don't care what you call
Yeah,
it.
I think that could be something else. But the geographic sort of ones should be a different section.
What should we call it though? What's a replacement word
I
for
think you
stakeholder?
should just replace that, like use the title with the subheading that you have.
Yeah. Good call. Who was that? Brand? Yeah. Oh, Lawrence. There we go. Beautiful.
And let's just spend, I mean, some of these are going to be in our minutes.
You have to enter the Benedict Canyon Association.
But this is the opinions received from invited speakers. We'll also talk about the opinions of the
Neighborhoods.
Yeah. This is just the invited speakers. So
They're not just opinions from the invited speakers. They do have
Yeah,
some
they
facts.
represent, they represent large organizations at the Getty and UCLA, not even within our
invited
community.
entities.
What's KVAB?
Keep Bel Air beautiful. I don't know. I just figured out.
That's
Okay.
Rosen's group.
Yeah. And invited, I think that's fine for now. And remember, this is just an outline. Someone else is going to do the hard work of drafting the letter.
Would
I think
somebody
that's 7
add
days.
Benedict Canyon Association to
I
that,
know, but
please?
we're going to have a different one. We're going to have a different one that's just going to talk about opinions of neighborhoods within B, A, B, C, and C, and that's where you'll go.
Neighborhood should be plural.
Neighborhood representatives, maybe, or
I know some people feel very uncomfortable that they're supposed to be representing their neighborhoods. But I get it. It's hard. You don't want to get people mad at you. But this is where we'll put on this though, we'll just put on the opinions received from invited speakers. I think we want to just crib from our minutes that we've had at different meetings.
Can we say presentations received from invited?
Yeah, presentation.
well, no, but some
that's-
were opinions, but
Well,
and Sherman Oaks is the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association, not just Sherman Oaks.
Sherman Oaks.
So how?
Yeah, it's also insert some page numbers. Always like to have page numbers. In the footer, apply. There. And then opinions of neighborhood representatives within BA, BC, and C. And so let's just kind of put the ones that we feel comfortable with.
You're missing Benedict Canyon
I know, Bob.
Association,
It's coming next. It's coming next.
We
Jamie.
haven't gotten there yet, Bob.
What are you talking about? The other associations were already listed.
It's
That's
coming,
different.
Those
Bob,
are
don't
only the
worry.
speakers.
Bob, these are from the invited speakers. Benedict Canyon Association was not an invited speaker, so we're gonna have
Oh, okay.
down here.
All right. My mistake. I didn't
That's
see
okay.
invited. I didn't read invited.
Okay, who are the groups that we feel comfortable even saying? Like, honestly, I could say for Laurel Canyon Association that I think we're almost like agnostic about the whole thing. I mean, the only thing that we could say is that, you know, money, like concerned about how they're going to pay for this. But otherwise, the project, and then maybe if it decreases cross canyon traffic, we would be in support of that. But I'm not sure how many people are using Laurel Canyon Boulevard versus something way on, you know, a few miles away. I just highly doubt that. But let's just talk. Let's just
So,
like
yeah,
some bullets.
I have Laurel last because it's furthest away.
Oh, is it
So
down
if-
here?
Yeah, so if you go down, you've got
There
all
you
of
go.
them.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
Well,
And
what-
Sherman Oaks is outside our neighborhood, but I just sort of mentioned
okay,
it
you
because
have
of
Coldwater Canyon listed.
Oh,
So
you know
you
what? It's
don't,
down
you don't
there.
have
I
Bel Air
see.
Crest?
We're
I have
gonna
Bel
do.
Air Crest Master Association and Casiano together.
No,
Yeah, they're two different,
not at all.
Am I missing one? Is that not?
They are separate.
I know they're
Yeah.
separate, but are they going to have separate opinions on this?
We have no opinions and no discussion with Casiano. I've asked, I've invited, we have none.
Okay, well, we can delete them then. Or you can
I would love
infer
to
what
get
their
something
issue,
from them, but
or
know,
or we can infer what their position would be. But fine.
true.
Let's list them separately.
Well, if we don't know what they feel, then we
Well,
should say anything.
maybe we'll get to them at the main meeting, or somebody can reach out.
Exactly. So Bel Air Association, Bel Air Crest Master Association. That's an interesting name, by the way. Why is it called
It's,
Master?
you know, it's because we have three boards and because it was a technical name. But Bel Air Crest is the whole association. So
Isn't really
I
just.
don't think we
not a-
need the master.
Was not created by someone who was interested in branding.
Not even. I
We'll
think
we'll just call it Bel Air Crest.
Is fine.
Okay. Who else are we missing here that we want to say?
Do we want to say anything about the religious associations, business associations, or anything else?
I haven't heard anything about that in our
We
several.
certainly can if we have if we know things.
Well, we have representatives. We need to
You
find out.
know
what
who we
they-
do need to talk about? What was that? Steve Sand. He showed up, he cared, he spoke, and we need to
He's from
figure out a way.
Westwood, isn't he?
From West,
Westwood
Westwood.
Community Association.
Well, that's when I brought it up, is because
Westwood,
he.
and I've seen him because I attend the UCLA meetings. I've seen him at the
So we
UCLA.
need to figure out a way to express his viewpoints.
Maybe
yeah, if we,
Just-
under
But
the
that's-
guest speakers and,
and comments. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Public
just
comments.
comments. We don't need to, that has nothing to do with our neighborhood council. He's an outside speaker.
I mean you.
I agree. We're talking about our opinions.
He showed
We're not
up.
talking
Yeah.
about his.
Cared.
But
When you're dealing with a
Yeah.
project like this, you know, we're talking about Sherman Oaks. It's not in our neighborhood council either. Remember, our neighborhood council stops
They
at
were
Mohawk.
guests, yes, and we acknowledged their guest speakers who brought their own interest to present to our consideration.
We don't have to say we agree with
All
it.
of them.
We're just going to
With the
acknowledge the
exception
fact
of
that he showed up.
Rosen,
yeah, but I don't think Sherman
Rosen was
Oaks-
the only one in the community.
I don't think Sherman Oaks should be under opinions of neighborhood representatives within the Bel Air Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council.
Yeah,
It's
can
already
come out of
right
there.
Good point. That's a good
Right.
point.
It's already there up in the
Yeah.
representatives.
That's a
Um,
it's a fair point, although they are definitely affected by.
Yeah, but they're already there under opinions
Mhm.
received.
Yeah,
Like,
I had them there before we had that other section.
yeah, and then,
Yeah.
and I think under there, we should add Steve Sam up in that, even though he isn't an invited speaker, we
We
could.
can say invited speakers and
And
members of the public.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And comments
you
from the
go.
public,
yeah,
And public comments.
and public comments.
Yeah,
comments.
When you
but
do-
maybe not non-BABNC stakeholder public comments.
I don't know if it needs to be that.
Yeah, it's further down.
Okay.
Can you, can you
It may
do,
not be in our political interest to do that.
yeah. Jamie, at some point, can you just write down that Bel Air is impacted by options 1, 3, 4, and 5?
Well, I think we're all.
And
Impacted by
you
options. Say
say-
it one more time.
1, 3, 4, and 5. Not all areas are impacted by all the options. For example, Beverly Glen is impacted by option 6.
Well, I think
No.
with respect to traffic, we are all impacted by all of that.
What
I'm not
happened to
talking about
option
tra-
2?
but this is not about traffic. This is about
construction.
Well, no, but the whole thing is about traffic.
no.
I'm doing it
sorry.
for the
I
traffic.
really, forgive me. I beg to differ on this one. This is not about traffic. This is about, Bel Air Hills is definitely affected by options 1 and 3, right?
No, and where they're tunneling under us too.
And then I think what we should do for clarification is to make sure that anybody who reads this understands that X, Y, or Z option affects this particular area. I'm not trying to make it unique to Bel Air. It's just that I happen to be aware of what's happening in Bel Air.
Okay, but the reason they're doing this, and they have they have all sections about how doing this will impact the traffic situation, which impacts the air quality, which impacts, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's the whole reason for doing this. If there weren't a traffic problem, they wouldn't be doing it in the first place. So to the extent that doing this, building any of these options or not building them, and how successful each option is, impacts all of us, but especially those closer to the Sepulveda corridor
Look,
and those that are on streets that are on.
I think we're getting into like the
We're in the
overall
weeds. I think we're
comments.
too much in the weeds. That's right. Right.
So right now we've had the introduction. We now have a section called opinions received from invited speakers and public comments. These are the 4 invited speakers. We're going to go back and look at our notes, and we're going to populate this section based on the notes that we received that we took. And then we're also going to have a section on members of the comments that we received from members of the public. I really only kind of remember one person who was a member of the public who spoke, Stephen Sand. Does anyone else remember anyone else significantly?
Maureen Levinson spoke several times.
Oh yeah, that's right, Maureen Levinson.
It is Holmby Hills on the our subgroups.
Yes.
It is okay.
No, Holtby
No,
Hills
it's
isn't
not.
that?
I mean, it is a,
That's
Oh,
Beverly Hills.
no, I wanted to
not
make sure it
LA.
was in the document though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Holmby
Not
Hills
in it.
North is in our territory. Holmby Hills South is not.
Oh, but do we know what their opinion is on this one?
Somebody have to ask
And-
Jason.
Yeah, we could just email Jason.
Oh, then we're just gonna pick it off then, unless someone comes back on Monday and they said I've spoke to somebody and I think this should be in there, then we can do that.
Yeah, and when we have our regular board meeting, people could chime in then.
Yep.
Okay, so we're
Has Andre been able to specify the concerns of the Bel Air Ridge Association?
I don't know. So then moving on to the next section, opinion of neighborhood representatives.
Because they're overlooking Stone Canyon, so it would have an impact on their neighborhood.
Maybe he could there's a lot of people
I
who are
know
on
we-
this ad hoc committee who might have viewpoints on this, and so their opportunity
No,
will
I'm
be
just
at
asking,
the-
are you including their
No.
representation as a board member?
There
Okay.
well, no, because we haven't had the board meeting yet, so I don't know what.
Yeah, look, they're listed here on the document as sort
Okay.
of Beverly Glen is residents of Beverly Glen, Bel Air Ridge, Bel Air Glen. I can reach out to Andre and Tim and see what they think. As everybody knows, our ROBG representation has been a little spotty lately, and so I just don't think it's of people. It's not on anybody's list of things they're thinking about.
And then for Upper Bel Air, our concern, we have concerns about the impacts of doing nothing. We have concerns about existing traffic and the impact of doing nothing.
Well, and throw Mulholland in there with everybody else as far as the traffic.
Under Beverly Glen, what's our OBG?
Residents of Beverly Glen.
Okay.
Do you want to have one just called like Mulholland Corridor or something? That's just sort of like,
It's definitely going to
Mulholland
be
Drive.
affected.
But we don't have them yet. We don't have a Mulholland corridor.
well,
Yeah,
Pamela,
Dr.
yeah.
Pearson lives
I'm
on
just
Mulholland.
Well,
I'm
if
just
we
saying
had, I think that we have intentionally excluded the people who are on the traffic committee because of the Brown Act. But I am quite sure they would have some opinions.
And
we
so
have
this is
the
just going to be a
same
draft letter,
concern.
and it'll show up at the committee, and then we'll
Yeah.
get we're going to show up at the board meeting, and we might have to have an extra long board meeting if people want
Yeah.
to have edit this letter in real time.
We're just increasing the amplification of our neighbors who are in canyons and other areas that have already addressed their concerns. All of us have the same problems that they're encountering, so of course we support them.
Okay. The
Jamie,
next section.
can I go back and
Yeah.
look at my notes and then send you things to add to each section or to at least
Yeah, for sure,
Okay.
sure.
That'll be much easier for me.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, so we're going to go into the next section of the letter, which will be, I guess it's going to be master comments, like that maybe like everyone's in an agreement on, is that we all can get on board with.
Consensus?
Yes, consensus comments. That's a better one.
Yeah.
Consensus opinions.
There you go.
Let's see here. Now, these are the ones that we can all agree on. So let's remember that. So we all have to agree on these things. And this is, I see people have their hands raised, but this is sort of like a free for all. So just kind of step up and just speak whenever you want to speak.
So I think mitigating traffic impacts during construction.
Okay.
So,
Let me write that one down first. Importance of mitigating traffic impacts during construction.
Yeah, especially on the Cross Canyon.
Traffic impacts
Oh.
during construction.
Oh, and haul routes, Bob, don't forget the haul routes, all that soil if they try to excavate the tunnel.
Yeah, on the
spoils.
Yeah, going back to the first one I to clarify on the Cross Canyon roads. The importance of mitigating traffic impacts on the Cross Canyon roads during construction.
You know what we should do is tell them which ones we're specifically concerned about, if we could. Like roads of particular concern. What are ones that you know darn well are like
Sepulveda,
Roscommare,
Beverly Glen,
Woodcliff.
Hold on, Beverly.
Woodcliff's not in our district.
I know, but it's all continuous with Roscommare.
Well, they can't get they can't get there if they don't go through Roscommare.
How do you spell Roscommare?
Yeah.
Beverly Glen.
Yeah, we have that.
we have that.
Benedict. Coldwater.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, there may be, so yeah, and
Laurel Canyon doesn't care. Jamie says so.
I just don't think there's going to be any impacts.
But I
Unfortunately,
don't know that they will go on Coldwater either. But there might be.
Well, Coldwater comes up from Beverly Hills, so you never know.
we can. Okay, so the first one was, these are consensus opinions, importance of mitigating traffic impacts during construction on Cross Canyon roads.
Yeah, but you need
Here,
to.
we might also want to explain just a little bit of what the existing condition is. You need to explain what the existing condition is, and then talk about how your concerns, why this is going to make the situation worse, or you're concerned that it'll make the situation worse. Okay. Explain what?
That's where the haul routes come in. If you have a bunch of big dump trucks with spoils from excavation of anything.
Meaning people are using these roads more due to navigation apps. That's all true. It's not even new anymore. That's been around for at least 10 years. But it's basically
To avoid traffic.
And
yeah.
and 405 congestion.
Yeah, and traffic on the 405, it directly impacts the use.
And then we have
this is a
emergency
public safety
vehicles.
issue in a very high fire hazard severity zone.
Yeah.
Are we concerned about emergency vehicles? Because we have, on the freeway, they say they will let emergency vehicles through, but on the canyons, how would that happen?
Yeah, you can't on Roscoe Merritt get one through.
Concerned that project will we need to kind of explain how, like that how is it that we think that building this is going to increase cross canyon traffic
During construction.
but how, like
Yeah, well, so
I
during
keep saying,
to the extent that
The-
they close down any part of the 405, the traffic will spill over onto Sepulveda.
there you go, that's the missing part. There's the missing
and the additional traffic created by dump trucks with years of excavation.
Well, they're not excavating.
No one's, I don't think there's any, why would there be excavation or, work vehicles going through the canyons?
They're going to be boring through the canyons.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
pick it out
course.
the ends. They're not taking it out the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they still have to take it somewhere to dump the spoils.
But that's
Of
outside of
ongoing
our neighborhood.
excavation.
Are they
council.
going to be driving through the canyons though?
No. Jamie, you need to
Oh,
change the order
they
of the
do
first
now.
sentence because it sounds like the construction is on the cross canyon roads. So it needs to be importance of mitigating traffic impacts on cross canyon roads during construction.
We just need to know the haul routes.
Concerned
Well,
that
it's not just haul routes. I mean, we have construction materials. There are going to be
Exactly.
places where they keep them, but somebody has to put them there and take them away.
And yeah,
bill.
all the construction project is going to add to the traffic on the roads. We deal with it all the time on Mulholland, and they're going down and up the canyons both ways. So
And that,
it's not going to be any better.
Will, what does the haul route propose for the export of all this soil?
Yeah.
What I would like to have them say what specific mitigation they'll do and maybe say what we want
In terms of traffic?
in terms of traffic.
They might already be in there, and then that just shows that we didn't read it.
Could there also be mitigation for the destruction of the roads during the many years of?
Yeah, but they're not going to be going up and down our roads if they're tunneling through.
We don't know that.
Well,
100% certainty.
We're not saying if they tunnel, we're just saying that there are materials or whatever that are going up and down the canyons, and they are.
Even if
We could
digging
say
into
that
the-
we're concerned about the potential use of canyon roads by construction vehicles as part of the project. And they could say, and just in response,
There won't be.
you silly goose, there isn't any.
can
you
we
know
can we include, particularly in English words, not little maps, as to what portions of the neighborhoods will be affected by eminent domain and construction, and what type of construction will take place in the neighborhoods?
I think there's a whole appendix section on the eminent domain.
Well, because right now it's a mystery. People just don't know.
These are the consensus opinions. So other consensus opinion that I know that we have is financing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So I think everyone can agree there, right? Like the concern is that the Metro does not have the financing to bring this project to completion.
And also, we haven't mentioned our timeline. I think that there's a term of art where people are just sick to death of this displacement and the fact that they can't get anywhere. How many years is this going to be that they are, what is it called? Saturated, really, with the timeline that drags on forever. This is a project that they're talking about lasting for potentially 30 years.
We're going to say it's not feasible to build this out in phases.
Well, but there are already phases that are feasible. So there's
What phase is feasible though? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, so phase one, it's not feasible to do phase one in phases. Because phase one goes to
I'm defining Sherman Oaks to, you know, Wilshire or whatever they're building this to. Like that has to be built in one chunk.
yeah, so that is phase one. So I think what you want to say then, it is not feasible to do phase one in multiple phases.
Right, exactly.
You talking about the valley as Sherman Oaks, the valley crossing?
I'm talking about you can't, once you start the, you know, construction in the valley or wherever, they're probably going to build just like they did the Purple Line. They're building from both directions and then they meet in the middle. But this is not the kind of line that you could build a part of and then complete it when you got more money. It's just not. Okay, so lack of financing is number one. We're on consensus opinions. What are other big consensus opinions?
Well, is it a consensus opinion that traffic is terrible and we have to do something about it? Whether it's this project or some project,
Yes.
traffic in the
I
405.
agree. I definitely agree with that.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Okay, traffic on 405.
Yeah,
It's not just the 405.
405 and the canyons.
And cross canyon traffic
Palo Canyons.
is not
not too
acceptable and is getting worse.
They could put in a bunch of Wemos right now.
Well, those are still cars.
And we call, what do you call them? I like that Nick calls them the Weemoos.
To get back to financing, is it a consensus that no metro project has ever come in on budget or on time?
No.
I mean, it's
we could
fact,
put, I think
isn't
we
it?
could, on the lack of financing, you could put that down as a fact. It's a fact that overages are the norm for metro. That's a fact.
Yeah. Jamie, Steve San is here now, has his hand up just for if you want to call on him for at some point. And I can also share just if people are interested, and I can share what the charts look like that document the various types of acquisition that have to go on. They're different for every option, which makes them hard to read.
I'm going to stop screen sharing because I don't actually, no, actually, Travis, why don't, if you can unmute Mr. San, we'll let him have his piece right now.
Yep.
Can we say on the traffic on the 405, the unacceptable thing that the city needs to do something?
We could say not just the city, but a solution is required.
Yeah.
We're not saying what it is because obviously we got different opinions here. But Mr. San, you're unmuted. Welcome. We have spent the first part of this meeting discussing the scope of our letter. We've come to an agreement regarding what the scope should be. We're spending the next portion of our meeting until 8:30. We might go a little bit later if we're making good progress and we're not all tired. We're building an outline of what our letter is going to look like. Then we're going to have 2 members of the committee or more that's going to volunteer to build out this letter. Then we're going to have a meeting next Monday where we're going to review the draft letter, and then it's going to go to the full Air-Beverly Crest Neighborhood Council for review. Do you have anything that you would like to say?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Hall, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to your committee. I apologize for joining late. I was actually on the RAC board meeting just now with Robin Greenberg and other folks from your council, so I apologize for joining late. I just wanted to offer a comment. Someone messaged me and they conveyed something that I just wanted to address. I've attended these meetings completely in good faith to offer the real world experience that I've had and that our Westwood community had. And, you know, I know so many of your members. Nikki has known me for 10 years, and Mr. Schlesinger has known me, and Travis has known me, and so many folks. So I'm not exactly a stranger. I am a community volunteer, just like all of you. I'm not a paid lobbyist. I'm not paid to say anything. I say what I know in my brain and in my heart. And one of the comments that I offered in an earlier meeting, because there were a lot of comments, obviously tunneling is a major concern in your community, with understandably, and I offered the factual statement that our community in Westwood, we went through a very similar process that is facing your neighborhood for the Purple Line. And I did comment factually that when the tunneling was done under about 24 homes in our Westwood community to connect the Purple Line from Constellation and Avenue, the Star Station, up to Wilshire Westwood, I reported factually that literally we had received 0 reports from any neighbor, property owner, homeowner, renter. Not a single person communicated to us that they had felt vibrations or had problems or issues with their homes or anything. And I did factually report that our neighbors initially had some of the identical concerns. You know, what does this mean for my home? What does this mean for my foundation? What does this mean for my property value? What does this mean for my peace and quiet? And I expressed that our community went through a process with Metro where we met with their consultants and these issues were resolved. And those folks who had the tunnel under their home, they were paid an easement and all of that. So I understand that somebody said that because I'm, quote, an outsider, because I'm from Westwood, that somehow my comments should be disregarded. And I just want to say it's disappointing to hear that, because I'm offering these comments in good faith. I'm offering them based not on opinion, but based on real world factual experience. This was the same TBM, the same tunnel boring machine that would be used for the Sepulveda project is the identical equipment that was used for the Purple Line. And my comments are offered in good faith. Nobody's paying me to say this, because this is a very important issue to your community. I want to let you know that I've spoken with Mr. Rosen afterward. We're going to meet for lunch when he's available. As I said, I'm in good faith, willing to talk to anybody. And I'm not here for any reason other than, as I said, also, I don't want anything bad to happen to Bel Air. I don't want anything bad to happen to any of the residents of Lower Bel Air or the Bel Air Hotel.
Okay.
I'm just simply in good faith trying to provide factual information.
Appreciate that. And
Thank
I just want to let you know that while their statement was made earlier in the meeting, it was not the committee's wish to proceed in that direction. And you have now we have in the outline here laid out that what we did was we're going to have a section regarding comments received from invited speakers, comments received from members of the public, and your name is right here. And we're going to go through our minutes and we're going to put what your perspectives were in the letter.
But
So,
just point of order, Stephen, forgive me. In parts of Bel Air, the tunnel, the boring will be just 50 feet down, and that is not true in Westwood. So just a point.
No,
That
you are correct.
factual.
That is a difference. So I want to
We're
acknowledge
talking
that.
hundreds of
okay,
feet.
we're in the committee work right now. We're not in a debate right now.
Yes, thank you.
No, we're not in a debate right now. This is committee work.
No, it's not a debate.
Yes, it is.
But the comment, let's clarify this. I said 4 of the 5 people who presented were from outside of our council district. This is a fact.
I'm not going to let this go on for much longer, honestly. So we have a lot of work to do to populate this outline, and it's 8:17 p.m. Go ahead. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Are you speaking to me, Mr.
No, Miss Dr. Pearson.
I'm clarifying because there was an allegation made at a public meeting. And I clearly stated that with the exception of Mr. Rosen, none of the contributors were from within our council district. This is a fact.
Thank you for your perspective.
And the point is very well taken that what occurs in Westwood is in a completely different geological situation from what we're confronting with the mountains and tunneling or constructing a monorail.
All
So
right.
we do have unique concerns.
Mr. Sand was concerned about a statement that was made about him earlier in this meeting. We heard from Mr. Sand. I think that we have sufficiently resolved this issue. Let's continue to move on and brainstorm the consensus opinions that can be in our letter.
It made me think of something though. We also had the UCLA professor. Do we want to say something?
Oh my gosh, we
Yes.
completely forgot about him.
Yes. Excellent.
Let's see here.
Yeah, you've got UCLA there.
Yeah, but that was
He's a structural
that was
engineer.
There were two people. There was
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the
Sterling?
geotechnical
the professor.
Yes, geotechnical engineer.
I don't remember what his name was.
Stewart,
Sterling
Stewart.
John Stewart.
Stewart. He was really excellent.
And then the guy who had he was a planner.
Yeah, but he was representing UCLA, whereas
Yeah, Karwoski.
David Karwoski.
Karwoski.
and I think we need to say that Professor Stewart was not representing UCLA. He was
No.
giving professional, opinion or however we want to put
Yeah.
that, expert opinion.
Expert opinion.
The
Yes, you're
second
right.
person wasn't. The second person said that.
Actually,
Yeah,
if we're
no,
going to
John
do that,
Stewart
then
we're
that's
talking
something
about.
we need to do this a little bit different here then. So we had him as UCLA, and then we will just have what
Jamie,
would you
you
call
could just
him?
make
He's a
him
geologist. What would you call him?
Geotechnical engineer.
Geotechnical.
Correct.
you can set him apart from the others. The
That's
others
what I'm
are,
doing. I know
you know,
you're calling in, so you don't see our screen, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. As an expert, that's all I'm saying. He could be in a separate category as an expert contributor.
I know that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
It would be really helpful if you could participate via Zoom and you could see the screen.
You know, it would be great if AT&T would accommodate that, but
You don't
am
have
lucky
internet?
to get a call. I'm lucky to get a call out tonight, so
Okay.
it's irrelevant.
Try Verizon. They're usually better in the hills.
Nikki is drawing. I'm not sure how. Let's see here. So what were the other consensus opinions? We were on lack of financing. Metro does not have the financing to bring this project to completion. Concerns that.
The concerns
I
that
think
it would
that
be
Metro
stop and
does
start.
not have the financing because we know they don't have it right now.
So the concern would be there be
Will not get.
pauses in the phases, like piecemeal. That it would be.
That's the second bullet. Concerns that project will be unable to be completed. That project will be unable to be completed once it is started, and will be left in an uncompleted state.
Good. And I just okay.
Sorry. No, go for it, Nikki. Sorry.
Those two sound kind of the same, but I think you're getting at different things.
Will be unable to be completed.
Can I just say here, I want to thank Steve Sand for being so sincere about his beliefs.
Not feasible to build phase one in multiple phases, like the purple.
I think maybe
done.
they should be subcategories, or they already are subcategories.
Overages are a norm for Metro. That's where Mr. Brand was saying that. I think we can all. That's where we actually left.
Yeah, but
overages are a norm.
Yeah,
for Metro.
they have a built-in contingency, and which would be a good question to ask them. That they have a built-in contingency, and I'm curious how that built-in contingency compares to other contingencies they've built into other projects.
I think we should also say federal funding is in doubt. We can all agree on that.
Well, currently in doubt in the current administration.
That's optimistic.
None of this funding is realistic. It's all on the come line.
Anything else on the lack of
Come on, if we
financing
named it
one?
the Trump train, it'd get built tomorrow.
He'd give us the funding from the speed train.
So the next one in terms of a consensus would be, I think this is a traffic one, lack of knowledge in the general community regarding the project.
Yeah.
And that was also something that Patricia expressed a concern about.
The project and its alternatives.
About the project and its alternatives.
Yeah,
If
why
I could
hasn't
have,
Metro tried to get that out?
could I offer one maybe adjustment to that? The project's existence and contents.
Or in the project, its existence, contents, and alternatives.
Yeah, yeah, I meant the alternatives as in alternatives and the proposed alternatives. Not alternative to the project, but alternative, the proposed alternatives 1 through whatever. Or so if you put in the proposed alternatives in caps, it should do it. I mean, that if you,
Okay, well, whoever's drafting this will work that out.
They have given us the numbers of attendees at the meetings. And I think you'll find relative to the numbers of people who live in the valley, they were quoting millions, and town and the mountains, that their attendee group is a very small percentage that they've really reached in their outreach.
We could legitimately say that, I mean, my neighbors know nothing about this.
Outreach is a problem.
I mean, I think they've been trying and we've been, I know.
How many mailers have you gotten in the mail?
That is true, but we have sent out, I don't know how many things to our neighborhood about all of the meetings that they're having and, you know, where to find all the information and everything. And
I think part of it though is digestibility of that information. You know, it's not necessarily useful to hand someone just like, here's the whole DEIR.
yeah, but we've
Have
been,
fun. You know?
but
It's intimidating.
yeah, but we have been pointing them to the website and to, you know, the meetings the informational meetings they've been having and everything. And in fairness, I've only gone to one just because I don't have time and, you know, but that.
Yeah, I don't really have time either, and I tried to go to one and they didn't have it.
And actually, the problem has been that the PR people are doing the entire meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that we'd like to speak to and hear from are not present.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we get some public service announcements that are sponsored by Metro?
But this is, okay, so the consensus is lack of knowledge in the general community regarding the project, its existence, contents of DEIR, and alternatives. Okay, I think we've gotten that one down.
There hasn't been a good faith effort.
Then there's a
the word
next
out.
comment that Travis had put it, or next bullet was inordinate amount of eminent domain. I haven't, and I don't know, I don't have a strong opinion on that. I don't know if it's inordinate compared to what other subways require. I really don't know. I have no opinion on
Didn't
that.
Travis say that he had these maps?
Yes, but I don't know comparatively speaking.
Don't get caught up in the language. That was Travis's
Okay.
notes. Okay.
Can we just put concerns about eminent domain?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I can show you what this looks like just to give you a sense.
Before we do that though, let's just make sure we get all the main consensus.
And then going further back up on the consensus things, is there a consensus that whatever we do, we want it to have a reasonable cost benefit factor that we.
How do you define reasonable?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can't because we can't quantify it, but that we want them to take the cost benefit aspect into account.
That's
If they build something, I'd like it to be something that, enough people would use.
Well, remember when Bob Anderson was concerned about ridership.
Right.
It's also, there's a concern about parking. If you get to the station, then what?
Mm-hmm.
We could actually, I think maybe we could agree. Maybe that is a consensus thing, is that there is not that they have put that as an afterthought, really, in terms of what the parking should look like. But that's a key part to ensure that people can use the damn thing.
Yeah.
Mr. Lawrence.
Could I comment on that very quickly? I agree with that point. I think there's another layer to that of not communicating how this particular project plays into other planning elements. For example, the CHIP ordinance, which is replacing the transit-oriented community ordinance, has recently gone into effect and has expanded the density bonuses around major transit hubs like this. for multifamily development, and importantly, has drastically decreased the amount of parking requirements for those projects. So I think that it's not a coincidence. And I think that those two things are not very publicly connected.
Well, I mean, I do think they're trying to drive people to public transportation. And as far as I'm concerned, that's not a bad idea, assuming the public transportation works. But another thing that I had a concern about, and maybe this, belongs somewhere else, or maybe we can all agree on it, is I am concerned that if they reduce the traffic on the 405 and make it easier and faster for people to drive on it, you'll get more people driving on it until it's just as backed up as it was before.
That's a law of nature.
Yeah, and so, but so I would personally, like, if they combine this with congestion pricing and or HOV lanes to make it so that that 405 doesn't just fill up again.
The
So
reason they do want those,
have a
the
concern.
congestion pricing, and they do want the HOV lanes, and that's the reason that there are no shoulders.
I'm just gonna pay
There's no room. You're
parking at stations.
sandwiching in everything that you possibly can onto that freeway.
About need for parking at planned stations. We're not saying which ones we like or anything like that, but if you're going to build them, how are people from community going to use the subway if there's no parking planned at the stations? I mean, we have to get there, right? Whether or not you want to go to UCLA to get on it, whether or not you want to go to the Wilshire station, whether or not you want to go to Getty, where are you going to park?
Yeah,
You're not going to scooter there.
I think they're thinking that a lot of it will be fed by other transit.
No, that's a complete.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about our constituents, us who live here in our canyons where we have no transit.
We're
Do
not
we
going
want, do we want to make a mention about the last mile issue on some of the plans where, I don't know if it's been thought out?
To say a little bit more on that. What do you mean?
I get, I mean, like well, some of the talk was, let's say on option one, where they said, well, UCLA was saying, we don't want it because we don't want the students dropped off at the VA, and then we got to bus them over into the university type of thing. So again, I don't know if there was much talk in their plans about what do you do in these cases? So
I think we could generally state maybe, and then I see Dr. Longcore has his hand up. But could we say that there should be that they shouldn't be if you're going to spend these billions of dollars to something, you should ensure you would try to solve the last mile problem to the maximum extent feasible and not rely on secondary transit options. We've already made that mistake many times before, like whether it be LAX and that whole scenario. Okay, Dr. Longcore.
Jamie, do you have a consensus that we all agree with? I think it was Patricia commented, we need a master plan that incorporates all of the issues like parking and the last mile. The public needs to be able to see how it's going to work, but there has not been a master plan proposed to date.
Okay, Dr. Longcore.
I know this hasn't come up in any of our meetings, but I wanted to mention it because of current legislation, SB 79 at the state, in that wherever stations go on this line, I'm pretty sure they will qualify as high quality transit. And that will automatically rezone anything that's within a half a mile if SB 79 passes. And I believe there are some other things that are already tied to high quality transit.
There are, yeah.
Yeah.
TLC ordinance and everything.
Yeah. So if you put a station in the middle of UCLA, a half a mile from that does include some of the lower homes of Bel Air, which would then be qualified to be converted into apartment buildings under the statewide transit-oriented development zoning. And I don't think everybody's thought through that where you put transit stops these days is actually a dramatic zoning change depending on the quality of the stop to the surroundings. If you put a stop at the Getty, it would actually, under those current rules and SB 79, would rezone many of those residential properties up near Marymount into qualifying for, 20 unit subdivision, apartment buildings, et cetera, even though there's no way to walk from the one to the other. It would
We
be
actually did
within.
discuss this, Travis, in our very first meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry if I
That's
missed that one. My apologies. So it may be worth raising that this isn't just transportation planning. This is zoning
That's
that's
actually one
changing.
area where I think we could be like, we don't need anyone else. We are experts on that particular
Yep.
subject. We're experts on the very high fire hazard severity zone
Yep.
and what density means. And
Yep.
that is actually one area that I think that we go beyond just the politics, and we could potentially talk about the reasonably foreseeable environmental consequences that flow from increased density.
Yep. And again, I raise it. Thank you for having already raised it, and it's my fault for not getting that out
Oh,
of the
thank you
minutes.
for reminding us.
Do we know where at UCLA it would be?
Depends on the option. So some of them are down at the Luskin Hotel. Some of them are up at the Bruin Bear. And every bit you go further north, that's more of Bel Air that's getting rezoned into transit development eligible.
You're right. Jamie, can you just reference SB 79? Just make a note so we remember that.
May I ask a question about UCLA? I've heard the Luskin Center and I've heard the center of campus. They're not the same thing. Are they asking for a single station?
The different options have different locations for the station in the middle of campus. So like option 6, it's further north up near actually almost as far as the women's gym, not the women's gym, the men's gym, and the quad there with the Bruin Bear, whatever we call that big statue. Others of them are, several hundred feet further south at the new Luskin Conference Center Hotel. But there's not 2 stations, except there is also a station down it where it hits the purple line on Wilshire.
Right, at Wilshire.
So when they were discussing the station on campus, were they not discussing a central location?
That is a central location.
I mean, they're all central?
What I'm talking about is a difference of a couple hundred feet. And I think everybody thinks of the Union and that quad right there next to the Student Health Center and the Alumni Center and whatnot as being the center of campus. Whether it's technically that or not, it's right between the hill and the academic side of campus. So that's the center.
But would
Are
Luskin be
two-
considered the medical center?
Yeah, are there 2 Luskins? Because one Luskin, the Luskin Center is near the hospital.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's north of the hospital.
Right, and the Bear is in the center of campus, right?
Yeah, no, but they're literally, a couple hundred feet apart.
Too far apart. It's one and the same. I think
Yeah.
if you're talking about putting it by Royce Hall that's a different story.
No.
Because some people think that's the center of campus. So
No.
UCLA is not really. I don't know if they really have a center, but anyways, can I bring up something about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody it's 8:36, so no matter what, we have to end this meeting at like 9. So I want to make sure here's what we have to accomplish, and then we'll go to Mr. Brand. We need to make sure that all main items are populated in this outline, and then I'm going to need some volunteers to draft this letter. So go ahead, Mr. Brand.
When we're talking about the holistic nature of the planning, what these plans don't talk about is something really big that the Valley needs, and even along the Getty, is the connection to LAX. How is it going to connect to as you go further south? I mean, this line, they're spending billions of dollars. It's bigger than that, and that has not been addressed. I think that's like a consensus type thing that we can agree on too.
The concern that it won't, I think they do have a plan for it though, right? But your concern is that it won't actually get built?
2050.
Do they have a plan?
Well, why?
Phase 2.
We have a SoFi Stadium. We've got all this money coming into the Inglewood area. maybe they should be helping with the public partnership.
Well, I mean,
It's not going to Inglewood, so
what- but
I
you,
think
but,
right now we need to deal with phase one.
but you have a
But
point.
on its way to LAX, you've got SoFi and the Forum and all that area that would gain a
And you-
lot of service from a subway.
And you have a point. You have a point in that they built this stadium complex, and there's really no metro access. You cannot take a train to the game, and if you've ever been to an event at SoFi, it's like a nightmare. I mean, they want 200 for a cab ride to drive back from SoFi to my house in Beverly Wood adjacent.
Well, airport access involves all that entertainment area.
Agreed.
I don't know why they aren't going ahead and finishing it. You're correct.
Okay, so what else are we missing in the consensus opinions? I'm going to go through them again. Importance of mitigating traffic impacts on cross canyon roads during construction. Concerns about impacts on canyon roads during construction of project. Traffic on 405 and cross canyon traffic is not acceptable and is getting worse. A solution is required. Lack of financing. Need for parking at planned stations. Concerns about multifamily development around planned stations in a very high fire hazard severity zone. Concerns about eminent domain. Lack of knowledge in the general community regarding the project, its existence, contents of DEIR, and alternatives. And that's it. Any other consensus opinion?
Yeah, I have.
Well,
Go for it, Pam.
I think you're missing
no,
a
go ahead with
period
what
after eminent domain, Jamie.
Okay,
We have eminent domain.
got it. What else?
Okay.
I have two. If Miss Pearson doesn't have, so I am not exactly sure how to phrase these two things. I think maybe Irene and Travis could address these because they raised these. The Getty's conditional use permit
Right.
and dewatering.
Okay.
Because the conditional use permit was tied into parking.
Yeah.
For the Getty. Which there was no parking for the Getty.
I think we need to know more about that
Yeah. And
personally.
it's also only a concern about one of them.
I mean, do we want to talk anything about, like, just looking at it from a little different, do we have any concerns about the monorail in general? I was particularly skeptical of the idea that it could be built with minimal impacts to the 405. I found that hard to believe.
Me too.
It is.
Cross back and forth across the 405. Then if they have, well, I mean, I guess I would have concerns about the health aspects of people waiting for, waiting at the stations that are right on the 405.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, they're out there on the freeway, breathing the freeway air and the noise.
No, the stations are.
Well,
not
the only people who are
moving.
going to be waiting for it is really the people at the Getty stop.
No, all of the state,
If-
they're all on the, down at Ventura. Isn't that also along the freeway?
Mm-hmm.
They probably have addressed that, though. I bet you that they've addressed the air quality impacts in the
Yeah.
DEIR.
They're open air stations.
No, I don't think so.
No, I'm sure they have. I guarantee you
Well,
they have.
look, if you
And
have,
we don't have the scientific expertise to tell them that they're wrong.
if you're right next to the freeway and you have the disturbance of the air and wind, just having an elevated train, and there is so much particulate matter that is dropped onto
But
the
those
freeway,
generalized
you're gonna send it
our
into the air.
generalized comments, though, are no way a substitute to the scientific evidence in the DEIR on that topic. Like,
So do you think that did they discover the health benefits of, or negatives of this project?
Well,
There
then,
is an air
be
quality
shocked
section.
if they did not. I would be literally shocked.
I just looked at it when I was trying to find something. There is a whole section about air quality and testing for it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so but Travis said that we might all be able to get behind the fact that this above ground line in Van Nuys is a bad idea and is mean. Travis said that was mean to the Valley folk.
Technical term,
Yeah.
Well,
technical
why,
analysis.
What are they calling that though? The elevated, what is it called?
It's option 4.
Yeah. So
Option 4
why
is
couldn't we just continue the monorail in the easement of the 405 across the valley?
Because
That
well,
way
we're
you
not
don't have
we're
to go for
desperately trying not to get
imminent.
into a discussion of alternatives too much.
yeah, I don't know that I can agree with that. And here's why. To put it
What do you say that? What do you mean that?
option 4 is not acceptable.
Okay.
Because there is a $4 billion difference between option 4 and option 5. And if that's the difference between getting it built and getting it not built, well, if you think about the greatest good for the greatest number, then it is better, in my opinion, to get it built than not built. It's
Okay.
getting built, even if it's
Well,
above ground in the.
then I guess that can't be a consensus opinion, so we'll get rid of that.
Are you discussing the high fire area of the Sepulveda Pass?
Yes.
To have something built above ground?
We're not talking about the above ground part. We're just saying that we're going to have a section that talks about how this is going to run through the very high fire hazard severity zone, and we're going to reference the fire. We should probably put a little bit there. We should reference Palisades fire.
It has to do with the multifamily development. I think what Irene is getting at is, if there's a fire in the Sepulveda Pass, which is where a lot of them start, could it spread so fast that it would impact the monorail with the people on it?
Right.
People talked about that though.
They said that it would stop. They said that if there were a fire, they would stop.
It's going to be the same situation as people I don't think that's a consensus opinion. I mean, think of all the people in the cars. They're going to be in the same situation.
That's right.
Yeah, but the cars can keep driving out of there.
So can the
Monorail
monorail.
will stop, and then you got to get the people out in the middle of a.
Patricia, but wait a minute. I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. Look at just what happened in the Palisades. People couldn't get out. They ended up abandoning their cars. I mean, I think that unfortunately, if there's fire anywhere, whether it's on the 405 or it's on near the monorail or it's in the canyons, anywhere on the streets, you're trapped, and it's a problem.
Well,
What if we could say
a fire that was on the 405 before, the one that came up our canyon?
In an emergency, you're not evacuating through public transportation. You don't even go in an elevator in your building. You walk down the stairs and you get out any way you can. So I think that's a non-starter.
I don't think this is a consensus opinion anyway. I do think we need to think about the issues that maybe Bel Air has talked about and whether or not we can get around, if we can have any consensus opinion on some of those. Like, for example, that
Like, how do you get out of liquefaction?
The tunneling where underneath that tunneling may impact caissons, of homes. Like, obviously we're all concerned about that, right?
What about the reservoirs?
I just want to say that Lower Bel Air is a liquefaction zone. That's where the trains are going to run 50 feet underground, not 200 feet underground. And that, our experts said all of this can be mitigated. But it is definitely a concern. And we also know that areas like Nimes Road sit on a fault. And our expert also said to us, you don't necessarily know a fault is there until there's an earthquake, until something happens.
No, that wasn't what he said. He said they would see it while they were tunneling.
No, he did say
And
that.
they would mitigate it.
He did say that.
Yeah.
It is a valid point. If the subway is only 50 feet below certain sections of Lower Bel Air, you could have caissons for homes that are deeper than that.
My house is in Lower Bel Air, and it sits on 38 caissons that are deeper than that.
Right.
So I think we could say, I think what we could say is, because I am confident they would, not make somebody's house fall down. But I think that what we could say is that if, that they would have to mitigate for any of those things. I think we would all be in agreement that they would need to.
Well, if we could put some section, because my concern is that they might not realize, because it's true, when they're tunneling under Wilshire or something like that, even with the high rises, they're not going to hit foundations down to 50 feet. But in our area, yeah, caissons could go down like 60 feet, 70 feet, that type of thing.
But
So
they'll have all the building records. They'll know if they're gonna run into somebody's caissons.
you would hope.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying it
Pretty
could.
sure they're not gonna like go around certain residences. That's just not the way that it works. What they'll do
My-
is that what they will do is they will trigger eminent domain if they run into that problem.
Can I add an additional point to this for
Yeah.
Lower Bel Air? I think that if, I don't know, Leslie, Jonathan, maybe if you want to chime in here, if one of the options that's chosen, or the option that's chosen is one of the ones that tunnels under Lower Bel Air, I personally, and I think that I can speak for a lot of other people in Lower Bel Air, would want to see some sort of study done about the security, I guess, of the dam. And it's an old dam. It hasn't been, like no one's touched it in a long time. If that breaks, that's a serious problem for not only Lower Bel Air, for UCLA too. It's a lot of water.
But Aaron, the route as drawn right now for options 4, 5, and of course 6 do not go under the reservoir.
Are we sure that the vibrations from the boring or, general operation is not going to affect it?
I'm no engineer, so I can't speak to that. But
Good question.
What about Bob Anderson saying that we should all get behind option, was it 6, the old one?
no, option 6 is
No.
only the control. That's really
I'm sorry, no, 5, excuse me, 5. That 5 just being a crappy option because it was using old technology.
That's 6.
That's 6. But option 6 is actually, if you read the executive summary of the DEIR, it says that option 6 is the control.
I'm just throwing it out there before.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I don't think they'll pick option 6. It's the same cost as option 5 and it has worse metrics.
Okay. What about
They did say one other thing. UCLA said that they had only done preliminary borings. Now, some of you are more technically inclined than I, and I'm not sure what preliminary borings are. It's like that was the start, but not really what they need.
What they did was that they took essentially, they took samples. I remember when they did them throughout Bel Air, and
Hey, Polly, I want to spend time with you, okay?
Yeah.
um
I remember when they did them, and they spent about a week in various places throughout Bel Air, and they basically took soil samples.
okay, so let's go to our conclusions now.
Okay.
This is, what are we asking for? What do we want them to do?
I would really like a discussion about the influence that Getty and working with UCLA has trying to obtain their interest rather than joining forces and utilizing more cost-effective joint station if they want one that is going to intersect with the purple line.
I don't think that's consistent with the scope of this, of what we said the scope of this letter was going to be. But
They're also going to choose one of these 5 remaining options, and probably one of these 4 remaining options.
Well, they're eliminating an option. They're eliminating one based on they want their own.
They're not making
individual
new options.
Yeah, they eliminated 2, not 1.
Right, they eliminated 2, not
I
1.
mean, they eliminated 2, but they don't want 1. So
Pamela, but
essentially
that's
they're
not what this
eliminating.
meeting is about. That's not what this meeting is about. We're not going to change their minds. We have to
We're talking about what the conclusion of our letter should say.
Right.
Do we
So
feel there needs to be greater outreach, or do you think Metro is done?
I think,
they're done.
Yeah.
yeah, I think they're
They-
done.
It might be, they're gonna pick one, and then it might be, do they do it or do they not do it? That might be the next outreach element. And I think we could say, to the extent they do more outreach related to this program and whether this project and whether or not it gets done or what gets done, that we would encourage them to find ways to educate the public more and get the public more involved, or I mean,
think-
I don't know how to put it, but
I think we could take that to an even more general position. It doesn't need to be this project. I think, do we agree on this, that they could have done more to, at the beginning, before coming up with these plans, solicit input from the community?
yeah, but that's water under the bridge now, so.
Yeah.
They had
not
no,
for
they had
project
no
going
interest in
forward.
that, guys. We invited them many times to come to talk to the Bel Air Association. They did not want to do it. They didn't want.
we could just do like a, DEIR does not serve its intended purpose as an informational document.
Yeah, and the compressed time that we had to add I think that could go up at the, maybe in the census
Many
part.
questions remain regarding the environmental
That
impacts of
was
the project.
intentional.
There's there's currently not, I'm just gonna throw this out here, but we can say that we did not hear broad community support during our ad hoc committee meetings.
Yeah, but I don't think that's fair, because we heard this, from people that were concerned about it. And
That's the nature of the loudest voices always,
Yeah.
that's just the nature of government though.
yeah,
Like
but
a
I
lot of
don't-
people are at home working, watching Netflix and feeding their kids.
Yeah, but so I don't think it's fair to say that we didn't hear support. I mean, probably,
That's true though. That is factually true, even though you might have a reason for why that is.
yeah, but it gives the impression that it's not supported, and we
But we
don't.
also don't know what people believe. I guess besides the people who showed up, I don't know what people generally think.
It's interesting that we don't get the Valley newspaper, but I happen to subscribe to it. And they have had organized meetings through the public information people in the Valley supporting the projects that the Valley supposedly wants. So I'm not exactly sure why they've had organized meetings there and none here. And I
Because it's
didn't know
not
that we
running.
could say that, but
You mean Metro?
Metro.
I think they have had meetings.
They've had meetings, but they haven't had rallies.
Okay,
Sure.
so back to conclusion. DEIR does not serve its intended purpose as an informational document. Many questions remain regarding the environmental impacts of the project. We could say
Finances.
something about how a project of this scope and magnitude maybe we could say that the additional environmental analysis is required, as well as a more robust outreach to community
Yeah. Yes.
for a
Yes.
project of this scope and magnitude.
Can I ask a question for someone who's maybe a little more familiar with this public comment process? How does Metro or other people, are they really looking at this through the narrow lens of the DEIR?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Well, no, yes and no. They're going to look at this as an environmental compliance document. And so in that sense, they only care about whether or not they've met their legal burden to evaluate and disclose the environmental impacts and mitigate them to the maximum extent feasible. That's all they care about. But they are political as well, so they might look at these comments, and to the extent that they're inclined to do something just because they're inclined to do something. This will give them the ammunition to do that.
Okay.
No, there is something political about the fact that they initiated this with the idea that the economics of the Mission area, North Valley, are not great compared to the area that we have here. They are saying that they are going to do such a favor for the people who are coming from the North Valley to be able to go to LAX. Where else do they want to go? I don't know. But economically, they're not fulfilling their duties to the people who they promised. They're not even meshing the tracks so that they can go from the East Valley project to the one that they're going to have in Sherman Oaks. They have this first and last mile issue where everybody's going to have to get off this train and get on to another in order to go to the next stop. If you've got a family and you're trying to get to LAX, can you imagine how many times people have to get on and off this transportation?
Okay.
Every unit is different.
It's 8:59, so now we're getting to the point of this. I appreciate. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to keep us all on track here.
I think in the conclusion or up front, we need to say what we want, and which is basically we want them to mitigate noise. We want them to mitigate impacts to homes above the tunnel. We want them to mitigate traffic. Assuming this thing gets built.
The dam.
And and the other thing that I think we should point out is the DEIR was only it looked like it was only noise within 50 feet of the whatever it was that they were building. Yeah, or the tracks or the monorail or whatever. And I don't think they looked at how the noise and or vibration or air movement or whatever travels through the canyons.
Okay, so now, who wants to volunteer to turn this rough outline into a letter? Don't speak up all at once. Because whoever does the work, we're going to come back in a meeting and then the committee members are going to rip it to shreds, even though they didn't even work on it. That's exactly what's going to happen, and you all know it.
Yeah, at the risk of the Bel Air folks taking a hit out on me, we're asking for mitigation of noise and mitigation of traffic, but no impacts of tunneling on homes.
Mitigation
of any.
I'm just getting tired. We want noise mitigation, traffic mitigation, etc. Also,
mitigation of tunnels, impacts of tunneling under homes.
Tunneling
under homes.
Mitigation of
homes in
impacts of tunneling under homes.
In the liquefaction zone, I would say.
Is this committee going to meet in person or on Zoom?
No.
Zoom, I believe.
We're going to do it again. Actually, when you're doing this,
I mean the committee that's working on the wording and so on.
It won't be a ad hoc committee. Oh, it'll be Zoom. It'll be Zoom.
Yeah, it's this ad hoc committee next Monday, same time, to go over the draft that gets written between now and then. So
yeah, I'm talking about the draft.
Yeah, the draft gets looked at next week at the same time, 6:30. This committee, this ad hoc committee, and then it goes. Then it goes to the board on Wednesday, also by Zoom.
I think she's talking about the actual writing of it.
I'm talking about the writing of the draft. Yes. Thank you, Aaron.
It'll be via Zoom to answer your question.
Do we want to discuss the order?
Let's not worry about the order right now. I think I'm fine with the order the way it is, honestly. Like, are you not?
Well, I just wonder if the opinions received from invited speakers and public comment should go first, given that the vast majority of them were not.
As opposed to introduction? We got to have the introduction.
No. It's currently second. I'm wondering if it should go before the opinions of our neighborhoods. Because most of the opinions of the invited speakers, most of those people were from outside our neighborhood. So I think our neighborhood representative opinion should go first.
Okay, sure.
Consensus
I
opinion.
don't care
and-
about
and
that
the
at all.
other one's last.
When we talk about BABCNC, do we want to say that it's a quasi-governmental organization? That's tied in with the city or no?
Sure. That's, yeah, sure. Let's see here.
Yeah. Represents.
Advisory organization, I guess.
Yeah, and the 27,000 stakeholders.
Okay, I guess it's all gonna turn on me. I have a busy
I'll-
week, honestly.
If it's not only me, I'll volunteer. I got a busy week.
Are you good with words?
I can write pretty well.
I need
can
someone
put
good with
one or two
words.
together.
He is good with words.
Okay.
It's good with
So-
graphics too. I've now discovered that skill.
All right, so
my
I
God.
guess Aaron and I are gonna volunteer to do this.
Yeah, and Jamie, just tag me where you need me.
Okay. And so again, does everyone understand? I appreciate everyone's work today. Does everyone understand what we did and also what the next plan of action is? So now Aaron and I are going to take this, we're going to turn it with Travis's assistance. We're going to turn this into a letter, and then we're going to give it to Miss Palmer to go along with the next agenda so that everyone has it. And then we're going to show up next Monday at 6:30 and we're going to edit it.
And I have to say, I will volunteer, but I am verbose. So if you want me there, I'll be there. If you don't, you don't.
Oh, yeah, I don't even know if that has to be a meeting. That can just be writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood you, Irene. It's
Great. Everyone's
been
tired.
my 7th meeting of the day, so
7th meeting, oh my goodness.
Oh,
I'm now going on over 6 hours of meetings today.
yeah.
I'm going to share this document with you, Aaron, so you have it.
perfect.
All right, so I guess this is good of the order. Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to say?
How you so popular, Travis? You got 6 meetings? Jeez.
Trust me, you don't want to know. Bob is talking, but he's muted.
He's smiling. He's happy.
Next week, same time, same station.
Same bat channel.
Is it
Okay.
possible to send the notes to people in case they can think of something that they think is relevant to add?
Sure.
Doesn't mean that they have to be on the
Do you want it?
3-person committee, but just that they can think of something that they want to add to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to add you right now. I'm just going to put you as a viewer because what I don't
Yeah.
want is someone to actually delete
Yeah,
all
can
of
you
our
send it to, yeah, can you send it to me too?
Yeah, yeah,
Sure.
hold on. We should have no more than 5 people working on it, or actually it should probably be 4, because we want the debate over it to happen in public at the meeting. 4 people, yes. 5, no.
So I got 4. So does anyone else?
And if somebody wants to replace me, that's fine.
And fine with me as well.
Well,
I think it's important to have you, Travis.
Okay.
So I can also just circulate this draft. It's just like a living, like, why don't I just I can email that out, right?
You can, what can we do?
Well, how about we send it out and we save our comments for when we get it, or if you get consent, or once you send it out in enough time for us to like read it and think about it.
So here's the thing, we should provide it to the public as well. So if we're going to do that, but the key is that we can have a certain number of people working on it, but under a majority of a quorum of this committee. So that's 4. And then,
Don't overcomplicate it.
right?
Don't overcomplicate it.
Sorry.
It's not overcomplicated. Let's just have the people who are working on the document work on the document,
Yeah.
and there will be ample opportunity for comment next week.
Yes, and that happens in public with the public's we'll see it along with the agenda, have the opportunity to look at it, make comments, suggestions, etc. So sorry, it's my job to
Okay, no worries.
worry about
Brown
that.
Act enforcer.
Okay.
I went to
All right.
the hearing this afternoon on the Charter Reform Committee, and they have not taken Brown Act training.
Oh, the commission?
Yes.
Oh, they have, oh my goodness. Of course.
All righty. Well, thank you for all your work tonight.
Good
Well,
Lord.
Wait for the
Amy,
good, for the good.
Good Lord
Wait.
is right. Yeah.
talk to
Okay.
y'all later.
Good night.
This
Bye-bye.
meeting is
Amy,
adjourned.
thanks everybody.
Coordinating.
Bye-bye.